It is Thursday, February the 23rd, and after an all-star break that recharged the batteries, we are back in the saddle now, ready for the home stretch of the NBA season. 6 games on the slate here for this Thursday the 23rd. We'll be involved in 3 of them. Would like to go ahead and go through them now. Why don't we start in Orlando, where the Magic host the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland a 2.5-point favorite at BetSafe, 213 the total in this game. Now, the Magic, not a good team, and they had really been struggling going into the break. They've lost 5 of their past 6 games. And, of course, just, 8 or 9 days ago, they traded Serge Ibaka to the Toronto Raptors. So a lot of people view that as Orlando giving up on this season. But you know what? Ibaka really wasn't working out anyway in Orlando. The Magic very crowded up there in the front court with Nick Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green. And they did get a good player in return from Toronto in Terrence Ross, a guy who is averaging 10 points a game off the bench for the Raptors and should find more minutes in Orlando. Tonight, the Magic host a Portland team that has been struggling a bit themselves. The Blazers had lost 3 straight heading into the break, and they have been bad on the road all season. Portland just 9-20 on the road. They really struggled defensively. 26 in the NBA in points allowed. The Blazers surrender 110.1 points per game and 28th in opponents' three-point percentage. Now, the Magic, not one of the better three-point shooting teams in the league, but Terrence Ross, their new addition, he is a three-point shooter, so he will help in that area. But the Magic are good in the front court. We mentioned Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and the Blazers, that's where they're lacking a little bit. They're, of course, a guard-dominated team led by Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. So, look, I'm just not sure that a Portland team that is 9-20 on the road and has lost 3 straight games should be favored in this situation. The Magic may be a little refreshed after the All-Star break, playing at home. Wouldn't surprise me if they got after it in this game and played better than they have in a couple of weeks. I think Orlando wins this one outright. I like them as a 2.5-point home underdog. Moving on now, the Houston Rockets traveling to New Orleans to face the Pelicans. Houston, a 3-point favorite at BetSafe, 227 the total in this game. Of course, everybody with even a casual interest in the NBA anxious to see the New Orleans Pelicans because they were the big news of the All-Star break, acquiring DeMarcus Cousins from the Sacramento Kings. They will now roll out DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis in that front court. I mean, both these guys averaging over 25 and 10 this season. Not sure we've ever seen a front court duo quite like it in NBA history, at least since David Robinson and Tim Duncan for the San Antonio Spurs. Will be very interesting to see what these guys do, whether they're able to push the Pelicans this year into that 8th and final playoff spot in the Western Conference, and next year and in the coming years, what exactly they're going to have in store for the basketball fans there in New Orleans. Certainly the Pelicans have struggled somewhat this season. And look, in the short term, I know Cousins is one of the best players in the NBA, but they lost some guards in Buddy Hield and Tyreek Evans. And look, things like this, it always seems like in the immediate, it takes a little bit of time for it to work, doesn't it? It always seems like it takes a little bit of time for new pieces like this to gel. And I'm not quite sure how Davis and Cousins in the front court is going to look. Nobody is. I know they're not quite sure how it's going to look. And I think it might take a couple of games. And here they face the Houston Rockets, one of the better teams in the NBA. I mean, Houston, second in the league in terms of points scored. They average 114.4 points per game. They make 14.3 three-pointers a game. That leads the NBA by a wide margin. And the New Orleans Pelicans, not particularly good defensively, 22nd in the NBA in points allowed. I don't think the addition of Cousins is going to help their perimeter defense. So, look, I think the Pelicans might be a little bit overvalued in this situation. The Rockets only a 3-point favorite, despite the fact they've won 4 out of their last 5 games. Again, one of the better teams in the Western Conference. There's a lot of anticipation here. What is New Orleans going to look like? And again, I think people, their sort of minds are getting the best of them, and they think, man, they might get every rebound, block every shot. You know, Cousins and Davis could combine for 70 points a game, and eventually that might happen. I'm just not sure if it's going to happen right away, and I'm not sure if they're going to gel soon enough and if they're going to be good enough tonight to beat a team like the Houston Rockets. I think Houston comes into town and rains on the parade a little bit, beats the New Orleans Pelicans by more than 3 points. I think the Rockets a good bet here. Final game I'm involved in on this Thursday, February the 23rd. What about the Denver Nuggets traveling to Sacramento to face the Kings? We just talked about the Kings losing DeMarcus Cousins. Well, they're a 7-point home underdog here. The Nuggets favored by 7 at BetSafe. 220.5 the total in this game. Now look, just like I think people might be a little too quick to pile on the New Orleans Pelicans thinking, well, now that they have DeMarcus Cousins, all their problems are solved. Well, I think people might be a little too quick to abandon the Sacramento Kings. Keep in mind, just 10 or 12 days ago when DeMarcus Cousins was serving that one-game suspension after getting his 17th technical foul of the season, the Kings played the Boston Celtics and blew their doors off 108-92. And it's not like the Kings don't have some beef in the middle now. Even without Cousins, they still have Kosta Koufos, Willie Cauley-Stein, a guy who will soak up a lot of Cousins' minutes. Probably wasn't getting quite enough minutes. Now look, he's no DeMarcus Cousins, especially on the offensive end, but Cauley-Stein, a very good defensive center, and will certainly help out on the boards. And Sacramento got a couple of shooters in Buddy Hield and Tyreek Evans from the Pelicans. And they're facing a Denver team here that is the single worst defensive team in the NBA. The Nuggets, 28th in the NBA in points allowed, earning 111.8 points per game. And they're 30th, dead last, in both opponents' field goal percentage and defensive efficiency. The Nuggets surrendering 48% shooting to the opposition this season. They had lost 2 of 3 games heading into the All-Star break, so it's not like they're setting the world on fire. Look, I think that a lot of people look at this Kings team without DeMarcus Cousins, and they see that, Darren Collison's their leading scorer right now at 13 points per game. So they look at the Kings right now and say, hey, well, there's just not much there. Well, you know what? The sum of their parts, it sure looked pretty good the last time they were missing Cousins, again, a couple of weeks ago when they beat Boston easily. And again, adding a couple of shooters now from New Orleans wouldn't surprise me to see the Kings play a good game here, sort of come together in their first game without Cousins. Again, they're playing a Denver team that plays no defense at all. I think Sacramento as a 7-point home underdog, a good-looking bet here. There you have it, folks. Those are my thoughts for this Thursday, February the 23rd. I like the Orlando Magic as a 2.5-point home underdog against the Portland Trailblazers. I like Houston -3 in New Orleans, and I like the Sacramento Kings +7 at home against the Denver Nuggets. Folks, I wish you best of luck no matter what you decide to do tonight, just so long as your interests don't conflict with my interests. Enjoy the games, folks, and it's good to have basketball back, isn't it?